Sorry, I'm still trying to get show chats, comments. Okay. Paste. Okay. Okay. So that way people kind of can see it at least.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping. This is the first time I've done this, so and
Well,
I don't know if we want to wait. I don't know if anybody's going to show up. I don't know of anything. It says one viewer. So let's see. Sorry about this, guys. I'm trying to set it up and watching now. So we have two. Okay, good. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am Daniel Yates. I have been doing this for a little under a year of podcasting and stuff, like just YouTube. Um, I work for a chemical company. I have Peter Banded skinks, all sorts of types of skinks that I really love. I'm a huge skink fan. And so today I need to take my skinks and actually introduce my this old colony. See, they don't turbo up. I'll show you what turbo up is here in a bit. See, I can rub them and they're not. See, that's turboing. That's turbo. And they don't all turbo. Most of these are so used to me, they're fine with it. And so we're going to introduce my new Peter Banded skinks that I've gotten. I've kind of hidden them in the room so that they're not seeing them right away. And we're going to take a look at their behavior as they look at each other. And then we're going to have Jen on as our exotic rescue. And we're going to see about if we can get some money for them or at least get people to look at their animals that they have and adopt from them because they are Three Sisters Rescue is absolutely one of the best rescues I've seen. They really are. I'm very proud of the people that I've known from your rescue. I'm very satisfied with the people that I know from your rescue. They've been quite surprising how knowledgeable they are. And I just love you guys to death. You guys are just great. So when I got the opportunity to even think about doing a charity event for you guys, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it.
thank you so much. We appreciate that. And I love hearing wonderful things about people in my rescue. Um, I'm Jen. I run Three Sisters Exotic Rescue and Sanctuary. We're a small foster based rescue. We're based out of St. Louis. We do have some fosters down in Springfield, Missouri and Joplin, Missouri. Um,
Where
everyone
I'm
in the
from,
yep. Everyone in the rescue ends up basically being family because we are small. Um, I've been dealing with reptiles and exotics since 1986. Um, I love them. They actually have more personality than dogs and cats, in my opinion. A lot of people don't realize that their expressions actually do show a lot of personality. They do show a lot of behaviors just from the way they stand, the way they move their heads, the way they blink, the way they change color depending on the type of animal. But you can learn a lot from them just by watching them.
you really can. Now, give me just a second. I've actually forgot one thing. So, so in the comments, we have cash apps and so on.
Hi, Mary. We
Mir-
actually do have the PayPal, the Venmo, and the Cash App listed.
yes, they are actually in the actual the chat here. Now, here's the thing: if we can get $100 for Three Sisters Rescue in this hour that we're going to be doing this, I have made this Peter Banded skink statue out of resin. Now, for the person, if this was a bigger event, I would probably do a random drawing, but the person who donates the most will get their choice of color if we hit $100. And I will actually send this out to them of their choice of color. And if we hit $200, the person with the highest donation will get their color of this. And then I will have two tree skink pins, shirt pins, that I can actually send to the next two highest donations if we hit our goals. Now, now let me ask, what kind of reptiles are you dealing with that nowadays? Because I know you've got my Cuban nightingale for now.
Yeah, we're working on him, trying to get rid of the infection that's on his face. Right now, we've got tortoises in the shelter. We have different types of snakes. We have the Cuban nightingale. We've got leopard geckos. We've got um, actually an old skink that is a blue tongue skink that I've had. She is 23 years old
Wow.
and barely moving anymore, but she's a sanctuary baby that we'll keep till she passes.
I
Um,
Yeah, I love it. I told Nelson Bradley because I love skinks, but I don't have any blue tongues, and that'll be one when he has a baby that I'm gonna buy it off of him since he's a local breeder and he's just an awesome guy. Because I'm a huge skink fan. So this is another thing we're gonna do. Let's introduce my skinks. This is my old crew. This is Carrie. This gentleman right here is my all-time favorite. You can actually see on the back of his head, there's this real from Bad Shed, and there was actually some red marks on the top of his head when I first got him. And that's what called him Carrie because it looked like bloodstains. And he is absolutely awesome. And if I let him just sit here, what he'll do is actually climb on me. He is just absolutely a wonderful guy. He's got a bad paw that I had to deal with. This is another one that I just absolutely love. This is my girl. She has actually lost a lot of weight. They do that from time to time, and then they'll all of a sudden gain it back. It's weird because they really can't get fat. So if you see one that's actually very healthy and like 130 pounds, yeah, 130, yeah, 130 grams, they are actually older, and that's usually when you might have issues with them that I know of. I've never heard of a younger male having issues. I've heard of older males fighting, and but this is a female, and she's so we're taking care of her. She's just absolutely wonderful. Her name is No Name. I just never named her, and it's just like stuck. She's just absolutely wonderful. She comes out every night to see me. This is the other one I got when I first got him. He is not a full adult. His name is Broken. He is the rarest in the world. As you can see, these broken stripes down him. There's not another one with three of them that are broken like that. And then over the summer, I got this boy, and we named him Snoot because he had a rubbed snoot. He's kind of an ass. I won't lie. He's kind of a pain in the ass, but I love the guy. He's really cool, very healthy shape. As you can see, you can't see the spinature, the spine, so therefore you can really say that he's very healthy. All my males here are very healthy. The female is the one who's kind of iffy at this moment, and she is in breeding age. I've seen her weight spike, and that's how come I know she's in breeding age. Because she went from 107 to 127 and back down to 107. And then she has gone down to 85 about. But that's actually common for these guys, which is really weird. And I do know how weird that sounds, but that's what they do. And like I said, as they age, they will get more weight on them and get longer. So where are we at? So I said about every 10 minutes we're going to talk about you guys and what people can do, cuz I don't think there's enough people out there who realize how bad rescues have it right now. And rescues have it really, really bad. They have been just overwhelmed over the last year with just rescues.
Yeah, we keep getting in more rescues. I mean, just in this last week, we've taken, let's see, three bearded dragons, um, four chinchillas, two leopard geckos, three snakes, and I've had requests for bunnies and um, guinea pigs, but I've had to turn those away because we have no space for them right now.
Yeah, I mean, how does one find their local rescue?
A lot of people will Google it. They'll talk to animal control, the local humane society, stuff like that. We work with our local animal controls quite a lot. Um,
Yeah,
Without
that's
them, we'd be in a lot of trouble. We love our local animal controls. They are wonderful. And you have to get your backing from your local animal controls to do rescue because without their backing, we would be in so much trouble without having their help because if we can't take it in, we send people to them because they'll be able to help out. They'll know other rescues or even they'll be able to take them in.
see, that's fair. That's things that I've been talking to herpetologists around the country so far, and it's like, what does it take to do a rescue in your state? What is it like? There's actually some licensing and everything that
Mhm.
requires it. You guys don't just start bringing in animals and call yourself a rescue.
No, you gotta get licensing. If you're going to be, tax exempt, you have to get your 501c3. And you really do need to be friends with the local cat and dog rescues, your local humane society, your local APA, your local, like I said, your local ACs. Be friends with them because you work with them hand in hand. They'll get calls about your exotics and they'll reach out to you and say, hey, we have a call about this. Can you take it in? Because
Awesome.
people will call dog and cat rescues all the time with a snake.
Yeah.
And people will call me about, dogs and cats and farm animals. And I'll have to be like, no, we don't take those in. Here's the number to call.
Yeah. And I'll let everybody know right now that if you're donating, none of that money goes to me. I don't get anything out of this. Like, there is nothing monetary I'm gaining from this. Nothing.
No, he's being really nice about this. I mean, though he did annoy the living hell out of me yesterday about this, but
I'm sorry. Yeah, shit. My life sucks, so I got to bring other people down with me. Yeah.
but he is nice and helping us out. So I can't blame him too much because we do need the help right now with the holidays coming up.
Oh
Because
God.
after the holidays, I mean, normally a week to a month after the holidays, we get hit hard. And it gets to the point where we have to turn animals away because we have been overrun.
And this is not their enclosure. This is not a Peter Pan and skink enclosure.
Are you
No.
sure?
I don't know. Friggin' this is just a tote to introduce them to each other because there's a difference in like territorial stuff. So if
Yeah.
these guys are in their enclosure, we don't know if they're going to behave differently. But I will tell you right now, Peter Bandit skinks are not well known for being aggressive to each other. This is not something common. So if your Peter Bandit skinks are aggressive to each other, there's something else going on. So what this allows me to do is to make them uncomfortable for a little while so that when I introduce the other ones, they're all uncomfortable. They're all on the same page. It's not these guys think these other guys are coming in on their territory. It's all we're all in the same boat kind of situation mentally for them. They're not so, oh, well, why is this other skink coming into my territory? It's, oh, shit. Well, there's another skink here. That's fine. And so then when they get put back into their territory, it's no, oh, well, what is this skink going to do? This other skink, it's okay. We've already kind of taken in that other skink.
Yeah, you should always try to introduce any animal in grounds that are neutral for them. Otherwise, they will have some of that territorial. Even the nicest animal is going to have territorial issues.
Exactly. And that's what we want. So why don't we actually show people how we sex these?
Okay.
That'll be interesting. We're going to use my boy Carrie because he's just the most wonderful boy in the world. Yes, he is. He will sit on me for hours on end. Can we see that?
Yes.
Okay. So, an adult Peter Bandit skink should be over 90 grams. 90 grams. No, 90 milliliters. Units. Let's go to units. Okay. And now he's moving around. Okay. It's going to say 90. Yeah. So he's 90 grams. So he is an adult. We don't actually see the spinal cord of him too well. So he is healthy. And so he's an adult. But his actual head to hip ratio is what matters. So the fact that his head's a little bit bigger, and so this is No Name, our female. She is actually underweight. Like I said, she's about 15 grams underweight. You can tell by the spine. So she's about 100 grams needed to be, is where she would be at if she was weight up. I don't know if it's just the time of the year. I don't know. But as you can see, her head to hip ratio is different than Carrie's. I don't know how well it shows up. Boy, it doesn't show up that well. I couldn't find my tape measure. But Carrie's got a head to hip ratio of 1.25, whereas No Name has a ratio of 1. So that's telling me that she's a female and he's a male. She's a lot longer than he is. Her tail's probably about the same with the same length, but yet she's longer. And that tells you that she's female. But she's an adult. It changes. This is why it's so hard to tell their genders because they're just so small of a narrow on how far it is. So we're going to open it up. Yeah, it looks like we've got 0 people now. Yeah, I really wish I could have advertised this more.
It's okay.
At least, did somebody at least give you something? Like, did they?
Mary sent some.
Thank you, Mary. Mary,
Mary Mattern. She's a sweetheart.
Mary Mattern. Thank you so much. If you ever see me out and about, Mary, if you go to the shows,
Mary actually wouldn't be in this area. Mary's down in Florida, I think.
oh wow, okay. Well, thank you, Mary. That's if I could give you a high five and a hug, I would, because you're awesome. So
She
I
is.
so
She's amazing.
I know she's not on here, but hey, at least it's something. Hey, we're getting one to eat. Snoot ate. Yeah,
Snoot's hungry.
yeah. He's kind of an ass. He likes to eat.
Hey, we all
He's
gotta, be a little bit of an attitude every once in a while.
oh boy, he's always had an attitude. So that's the thing when we actually show them together. When I had Snoot, I had a girl with him and she passed away. And that's what the mold is made from, is the girl that was with Snoot. You
Okay.
can kind of see the other three have kind of gathered together. Snoot's over here eating kind of on his own. Maybe it's they've already established themselves as a group since I've had him for a while. And then Snoot's over here kind of on his own. And since he was an adult male already, him and Carrie did lock eyes, and that's what we're looking for in this video. We are looking for Carrie and these guys to lock eyes with my male, who I have named the gecko.
Okay.
So we're hoping that they'll lock eyes when I bring out the gecko. And from that, what I want them to do is to lock those eyes, and then I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be the gecko who turns his back. And then I want to see the others eventually turn their back to the gecko as if he doesn't matter. And that's what we want to see in that. Because then that lets us know that they're not concerned with gecko anymore.
Hmm.
And since he's the male, the other two that I have should be young females. So I'm not as worried as much, but we'll take a look at them. So, what would you say is your most challenging rescue?
Oh, my most challenging rescue was going to a house where the parents didn't know exactly how many animals that their son had brought back when he moved back in and left them there. They didn't go into the room for over 6 months. So the animals hadn't been fed or watered, and it smelled like death when we got there.
Wow,
There was over 20 animals dead, and it was horrible.
that's crazy. I, I wow. So he just left them at the house, or
Yeah,
did
because
he?
he moved out with his new girlfriend, and she didn't like the animals, so he just left them all there, and it was devastating.
That's yeah, that's very devastating. Okay. Oh, the gecko's already been watching. He's like, I'm aware of what's going on. So this is the gecko. And yes, they have already. Yeah, he's Peter Banded skink named Gecko. He's not a gecko, he is the gecko. And just that look on his face.
Yep.
That, like, well, I don't understand what's going on, but I'm just adorable. And you can see that he's got a little spine definition, so he's a little underweight, but nothing that would be concerning. Yeah, I don't like that as much. Hmm. It's just because it's not on a. Yeah, Yeah, that's better. So as we can clearly see, he is not 90 grams. He is nowhere near 90 grams, and he is nowhere near, even if you take in for a little weight loss, that he is.
Mm-hmm.
And his head to hip ratio is pretty good size. He's got a decent tail on him for being young. So therefore, we know he's male. And so, and he is very alert. He's very smart. He was hitting his head on the actual container. So that's really cool. Like, he's that smart. So, where are we sitting with time? Okay. So we're gonna show these guys off. We are like they see him. He's right here, and they see him. I know they. Yep, there's Snoot taking a look. Oh, he's watching them. They're watching him. See, I don't think Snoot gives a rat's ass. See, he doesn't care. That's turning his back. He saw him, he turned his back, he didn't care. We're waiting for the other two to kind of, because Broken and Gecko should be around the same age. Broken is a little bit older. Snoot's just not sure what he wants to eat. See, the yawning of Carrie, he probably needs some water. So I don't know. So Broken's the one that I'm worried about right now. Broken Broken hasn't taken his eyes off of him. Carrie doesn't care. It's a little disheartening that I turn him around myself to maybe somebody, but they don't really care. It's okay. Okay. I don't know. I just broke his concentration, geckos. See, this is why you don't just throw them in. I don't know how Broken's feeling, but Snoot just broke Gecko's eyesight with Broken. So I don't know how that turns out. I don't know if he just doesn't care. The temperature of the room is like 80 degrees because I wanted to make sure that they were warm enough. But he has not stopped looking. And this is the reason why we do this way. Despite what people might think, because we can see Gecko out here. Despite what people might think that these things are so peaceful or that they don't need introductions, it's much better to be safe than sorry.
Yes. Because things can go wrong very quickly.
Yes. And that's the thing. People don't recognize that this is a thing that you can do. They see each other. They don't know that this exists. They've been trying to get through it all morning or all afternoon, since we've started this. Because they don't see this plastic as so these guys are literally thinking this skink is right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think that this behavior is showing us that there is something here. And once again, Snoot cares more about getting the worm than he does. Carrie doesn't care. Broken's the only one that hasn't stopped watching. So we're gonna move him closer, see what the. See, he's taking a bigger sniff of the air since I put them closer together. And he's kind of, yep, there Gecko goes. And Broken has definitely still taken that interest in him. Makes you wonder. Like, I really don't know what's going through their minds. I really don't know. I don't know if I want to turn him around or not myself. It's very interesting. What do you think?
I'd let him just keep going.
I am too. I'm kind of like, okay, Gecko's eyes are still open. He's still focused on him. There is a stare down between the two. And we'll see who blinks first. So, what else is happening? When
Not much. We're just working on getting everyone nice and healthy so that we can find them homes.
good. For the person who's just joining in, we are introducing Gecko right now is sitting here outside the tote. Broken and Gecko have been staring at each other for about 2 minutes now or longer. And so that's why we do it this way. So there's no way for them to get to each other and harm each other if that's what they decide is the right course of action. My two adult males don't give a shit. They Carrie and Snoot don't give a rat's ass about him. But Broken and Gecko, they do care for some reason. They care about each other. It's like, oh, here Snoot goes. Snoot's just trying to get out. He doesn't give a shit about Gecko. And this lets you know that they don't see this tote, again, for the person that just showed up, they don't see the tote as, like, he's just literally pushing on, like, freaking Broken, like, nothing. Like, he doesn't care. It's like, all right. And I just absolutely love these guys. I adore them to no end. How many times do you see Peter Bandit skinks come through, you guys?
We've had, let's see, since the rescue itself has been open in, let's see, we've been open for 9 years as a rescue. We've had 3 Peter Bandit skinks.
So Broken has closed his eyes because of Snoot. And the Gecko has kind of closed his eyes. Because for the people watching at home, slow blinking is what you do with stray cats. You just take off and you just slowly blink. And that lets them know that you're not there to eat them because a predator would just watch them.
Yep.
But yet, so I don't think he cares. I don't think either of them care. He's pretty much got his eyes closed to a point. Because that's kind of what you can't see of him, but that's what the Gecko's kind of doing. I think the Gecko's more worried about me than he is the other Peter Bandits. So I kind of want to put him in there with him because I don't know if from your guys' angle you could have seen that Broken just closed his eyes because Snoot was walking around slapping him in the face with his tail. And so Gecko here was kind of closing his eyes. Let's see if we can. Are you gonna try to jump? Are you gonna try to jump? Are you gonna try to jump? Are you gonna jump? Are you gonna jump? So we can see here. Okay. Like you said, I'm not worried at all about the two adult males. They don't seem to give a shit. It was Broken that I was worried about. Okay, buddy. And Broken's a lot bigger. Broken's about 80 some grams. very healthy looking. See, they don't care. They're all probably very confused. But if they hadn't have blinked and showed me that they kind of don't care, I wouldn't have put them together. So let's watch. Let's see what he does. Yep, Broken's the one that's taking interest. He's like, we'll figure out who this is. Okay. And Broken's got this missing toe, or not Broken, but he Gecko's got this missing toe right here. See how the other ones go through the tunnel. Gecko, when he wants out, he looks up. Like he doesn't go, oh well, we're gonna go through here. He goes, I'm gonna look up. I'm gonna see about getting out this way, because he's actually pretty intelligent. So now I think he'll be fine. See, Broken's got his back to him. Broken doesn't care about him.
Mm-hmm.
So we've established. See, Carrie's actually rubbing against him. He's pushing him out of the way. See, this is Gecko. Carrie just wants out. So that's good. That's awesome. So, see, look at Gecko. See how the other ones are pushing on the side? You can tell who Gecko is because he's the one looking up. Very interesting little guy. I'm very curious to see how smart he actually gets. And we can see these marks here are actually from bad sheds. You'll also see that in emerald green tree skinks that are wild caught. Yeah, I'm sorry the turnout's bad. I didn't, like I said,
It's
I didn't know if
okay.
I don't know if anybody, but this will still go like afterwards, so people can watch. Because even though it's live, it's still gonna be like, oh wow,
Yeah, that's fine.
So we'll get you some. See, which one's the gecko? I think we can tell which one's the gecko.
He's climbing out.
Yep, he's trying to climb out. He is very, very intelligent. I look forward to working with him a lot. I look forward to finding out how intelligent he is. And so let's see who else we've got. So this girl is the one that came with Gecko. I have named her Scarface. And maybe she's a male. Maybe she's female. I think she's female. But she's got this scar on her face from bad shit. And you can see that her spine's pretty, not defined. So basically 80 grams. So 80 grams, a not well defined spine, and her head to hip ratio is pretty small. So it's most likely she's a female. She's actually probably closer to Broken's age than she is to the gecko's age. Just from that weight. Was that you or me?
Mine was buzzing.
Okay. So she's out here wandering around. She does not care. So no names picked up on her. I think Broken's just being lazy. I don't think he cares. I think he's just kind of like, eh. No names right here. And here's the girl. She's just sitting here. Looks like she's about to. Yeah, they're already climbing on the gecko. That's a pretty good sign that they don't care.
Yep.
And that's they don't care is actually a good thing. Where people may not they go, well, they don't care. Well, they're not human. They shouldn't care about the other. If they care about the others, it's probably a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, No Name's the one that's actually kind of taking a big look. And I've always wondered because basically it's a sausage fest. So with her not having other females around, is that mentally doing something to her to where she doesn't want to gain weight or something? I don't
It
know.
might be.
Like we have no idea their mental capacity, and these are things we're figuring out. And I'm very big on mental capacity of my animals. See, she's kind of closing her eyes to it a little bit. Yep. See, Broken's like, no, I'm fine. We're waiting for No Name to turn. So it's the kids that are not the ones that are not turning. It's the adults who are turning because that's the ones that were doing it. So okay, so they've all turned away from her. I like you too, Kelly. And she looks smaller with more weight than the gecko
Mm-hmm.
because she's female. I mean, I'm pretty sure. I wish I had a like I tell people I can actually sex them if you give me a tape measure and a scale. Look at her awareness. Go get you some worms, girl. Go get you some worms. I like that Broken's taking more interest. And once again, Gecko's still trying to get out by climbing out. He thinks he can climb straight up a wall. I will have to send you that video of him jumping around.
Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. Oh, Carrie, you are just my all-time favorite, buddy. He knows where he's going. He's not scared. He's like, I've been here before. I want down. We're good. So I've got one more to introduce, but okay. So for people later on, where can they find the animals for adoptions from one of your rescues?
We try to put them on Facebook if we can. We have them at the expos, the Show Me Snakes expos. You can contact us, and we'll send you a list of what we have, or you can get on a wait list if there's something specific that you want.
And I have seen you guys pull out some neat stuff: origomets, freaking side neck turtles, fire skinks, freaking
Yeah, you never know what we'll get because we never know what we're going to get.
yeah. And that's the really neat thing. And that's the thing most people don't realize. I mean, when you're talking about bearded dragons, yeah, getting one from a rescue and using it for a breeding project is probably not the best thing.
No.
But these other animals, like the Peter Banded skink, are so uncommon to breed in captivity that you take your wins when you can get them.
Yeah, we get a lot of the more exotics,
What are you what are
and
you
they are
doing?
healthy.
What are you doing, Carrie? Why are you trying to slide under freaking look at him. Can you see him?
Uh huh.
He's actually trying. Why is he trying to slide under freaking Scarface?
He just wants to show that he likes them.
It's the weirdest thing. It's just like you just see them climbing on each other. They're not really trying to bite. somebody was trying to tell me the other day when I announced this that, oh, well, don't put them together. You don't have to introduce them. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Look at this.
This type of skink actually lives together in colonies.
There's one guy that I know who's had eggs, and he was saying that he likes to keep his together because, or at least make it to where when they come out, they have a glare on the window, so it makes them feel like there's another one inside. And he's actually got eggs,
Yeah.
so it's like, and that's rare. So it's like, okay. My always recommendation with these ones are, if you're gonna get one, try to get two that are male and female. If they breed, they breed. If they don't, they don't. But at least you've got an option. Because I've heard so many people talk about how they cannot breed them in captivity. It's so hard. And then you walk up to a random guy, and you're like, "Yeah, the Peter Banded skinks. I'm going to try to. Yeah, I got some eggs from them. Well, how'd you do it? I just left them in the enclosure."
Yeah, and the
It's
thing
like,
is, these ones they do better as a colony than they do as a single.
but as you could see earlier, the male, they took more attention to that male than they
Yeah.
did that female. So maybe doing this is an actual proper way of doing this. And when we talk about aggression, these guys aren't known for being aggressive.
No.
Like I said, it's when the only time that I hear them being aggressive is when they're old. And it's like, okay, the old male. So, but yet a blue tongue skink is aggressive. It's not,
They
you
can
don't,
be.
yeah, you don't necessarily want to attempt it. I've heard of some breeding stories, and if the female's not ready to breed, it will rip limbs off the male.
Yeah, they will tear them apart.
Yeah, they are. They eat snakes. There's a guy from Australia that I work with that loves blue tongues because they eat snakes that he had on his farm in Australia. So
Yeah.
he's like, I love blue tongues because of that. And he's like, well, but yet you wouldn't house two blue tongues together. That's just, no matter if
No.
they're male or female, it's just not a great idea. But what you could do to make sure that you understand it, because when people, now tell me if I'm wrong, but when people tell people no, it's a no, don't do this. It takes away from, it's like a person having a birthday party, and that birthday party is interrupted, and the guy says, no, you can't do anything for your birthday party. And it's like, are you going to enjoy the birthday party? Are you going to put more effort into the birthday party?
Yeah, you can't tell them like that. You have to explain the reasoning. Like, I would tell people I wouldn't put two blue tongue skinks together because even if it's a male and female, they're going to fight to the death if the female doesn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
And more than likely, that female is going to rip the male apart, and all you're going to have is, one chunk of him left, and she's going to be nice and fat.
But yet, you can put, I've seen people put bearded dragons together. It's
You
very,
can.
it's because people don't recognize that they're not an aggressive species, they are a territorial
Yes.
species. And when you say it like that, I think it changes the dynamics. How could, like the movie Holes had a bunch of bearded dragons on set? How could they keep them bearded dragons from tearing each other apart? Because it wasn't their territory. Like we talked about earlier, a
Mhm.
neutral site. Now,
Yeah.
once they figure out that that can be their territory and they take ownership of it, my bearded dragon Pitch will take ownership of the yard that I had in Kansas City. And so when I had another Peter bearded dragon out with her, and he's over here and she's over here, she will literally come over here to start a fight because she
Yep.
thinks it's her territory. And it's like, oh, okay, that's odd, but you're Pitch the bitch for a reason. I mean, and yeah, but yet if I take them to the lake and put all three of them out there, they didn't fight. Take them to Walmart, they don't fight. Now the third time I took them out to the lake, they wanted to fight because they established at the end of the second trip that they are willing to take this as their territory.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. You have difference between non-aggressive, but you still need to take note of them, like Peter Banded skinks. You have aggressive, like a blue tongue skink. You don't do that. But then you have territorial, like a bearded dragons. So you can actually see this stuff when you put glass between them.
Yep.
So you can actually experiment safely. And since they're territorial, if they're in their enclosure, they're going to act differently than if they're out of their enclosure and looking at another bearded dragon's enclosure.
Hmm.
If they can't, so this one's going to be territorial this, and you'll get to see how they want to interact because they don't understand what glass is. I
Yeah.
can take a Peter Bandit skink, show him to Calm Fancy, who thinks he's second in command of my whole army, my reptile army, my bearded dragon, and he's like 500 grams and he's healthy for a beardy. And yeah, he's not actually obese. It's weird. He's just big boy. And he'll just kind of look at him in my hand because he'll also look at me and like I'm the first in charge. He thinks he's second. So if they were running around on the ground, he would try to attack them. But since they're with me, it's a no go. Pitch, however, tries to eat them. And so she'll walk up to the glass and try to bite them, try to eat them. They're too big for her to eat. She doesn't care.
Yeah, some beardies are like that.
Yeah, Pitch she's very smart, but she's very mean. She doesn't like. It's like, yeah, I just want to eat stuff. It's like, just let me eat stuff. And then Broken's my youngest bearded dragon, and I'll put them up against the window, and no matter where he is in the enclosure, his chin will puff up, and it's like, oh, okay. So he wants to look bigger than them. He wants to scare them off out of his territory.
Hmm.
It's like, all right, buddy. Okay, I get you. I get you. Now, all right, let's see what we got here. We got one more girl to give with them. Where's my deal here? This one is named Houdini. She actually escaped from her little enclosure at one point in time. We can see that there is a defined spine. It's not very defined, so she's not too much underweight. And so she's more the age of the gecko. She's looking about 61 grams. So she's more towards the weight of the gecko. So it's probably more towards the age of the gecko as well. And so we're going to put her down here. So you can see her off camera just a little bit. And so, yeah. So Snoot took note. Scarface is trying to get out. Scarface is not trying to get at her. Scarface is just trying to get out. What are you doing, Snoot? All right. But then we have, for aggression wise, we also have same sex aggressions, the last one.
Yes.
Leopard geckos, I hear, are same sex aggressive.
Now, the thing is, the males are worse than the females. The males will be really badly same sex aggressive. The females, they're not bad.
Okay. All right. That's they all look like they're trying to get it. No, see, now she's turning around. She's turned her back to them. Can y'all see she's got her back up against them? If I lift her up straight, you can see that she's actually, that's how I picked her up. So her
Yep.
back was against them. And now all their back is against her. So I'm all right with putting her in here. She hasn't seen another gecko in a little bit. I say gecko. Freaking Peter Bandit skink. I'm probably gonna get more mixed up because here's Gecko himself, Mr. Gecko. And boy, you can see that there's a lot of similarities here between Scarface and Houdini. They look they look super similar
Yeah.
uh, because they should both be females. I think that's pretty cool. So if you're watching this in a year from now, please get a hold of your local rescue, no matter where you are in the country or the world. Find your local rescue. If you're with anywhere, Joplin, Springfield, St. Louis,
Anywhere around St. Louis, we travel all over the country. In all honesty, I get around.
good. And so, yeah, so look for you. Look for Three Sisters Rescue. Give some donations if you can. We need to support our local rescues more than we are because they are overwhelmed right now. And here's the catch: there's going to be some people out there going, no, everything you said's wrong and you shouldn't be teaching this. Well, what we've taught people is how to do this safely for them to experiment at home safely so they can have more connection with their animals. So because you should always know the temperament of every single one of your animals.
Yes.
And that's how you figure it out is by having glass between them. And you can see, oh, wow, like these animals are actually getting along. They're going good together, all these different things. Or, oh, shit, that one, like, oh, man, they don't like each other. Okay, so maybe I shouldn't bring them out to play together. Maybe I shouldn't bring them out at the same time. And so we can save more of them and they don't have to go to the local rescues.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times I'll end up with animals that come in from people saying that they've, let them play together. There's a lot of animals that you should not let play together. And honestly, if you have questions about it, feel free to reach out to us. We will happily answer your questions. I would
Me too.
rather sit on the phone, text back and forth, messenger back and forth with you if you have any questions than have you send a message to me and, or worse, dump off an animal that's hurt. Because we've had people find my address and dump off animals that were hurt.
So I said Broken and Scarface are about the same age. And you can see a big difference in their head structures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Female, male. Like it's their tails. No, his tail's a little fatter up here than
Yeah.
hers. Males. Yeah. And these are things that we're still learning because there's not a lot of knowledge on Peter banded skinks. A friend of mine's actually writing a book. And a lot of the things that we don't understand is the fact that they're across the Sahara. You take the upper Africa, almost right underneath Egypt, and just go across that Sahara, and then just cut out the coasts, and that's their range. But yet, I've never seen a picture of them in the wild. And the buddy of mine who's actually writing the book said he's seen two pictures of them in the wild. Only two. That's crazy.
That really is.
Yeah, that's just insane. So it's there's so much missing information. And what I take away from a lot of that is we don't understand their localities.
Mm.
Like what could be the possible difference in the localities? We can see the ones that I brought in are darker, but that's because these guys have been in sand. The ones that I have been in dirt. So that's why the other ones are more reddish because they haven't been in dirt because there's a proper way to quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
And you quarantine in a way that you can sanitize while keeping the natural behavior. I put human like styrofoam heads in my arboreal species like the emerald green tree skinks or my Cuban night anoles, and they love them. They can climb on those styrofoam heads, get to the top. Lucky used to jump off of them. Where these guys don't, they're not good climbers, but as you can see, they like to climb. They're going to climb if they can. So you give them a log or something to climb on, and then you just layer newspapers so that they'll be able to climb underneath, and you can sanitize it very quickly. And they can still get to that natural behavior of burying themselves. It's not something, if you've got to do it for a year, you better have a vet reason. Because there's no reason to have these guys outside of sand for a year.
No.
Because that's healthy for them, because that digging's going to build their muscles.
Yeah, and you should always, any animal that comes in, quarantine it a minimum of 30 days. Make sure that you are checking it out. It doesn't matter who it comes from, where it comes from. Check it for mites, check it for intestinal parasites, check its health, check its demeanor.
And watching it is the best thing every now and then. And I'm not always sold on the 30 days thing. I've had some in for a week or 2 weeks, but I check my own fecals, I do my own parasites, and those ones I knew where they came from, or I was rehabbing Hydra. And yeah, he couldn't lift himself up at 4 months. He couldn't lift himself off the ground. The girl had him in a 10-gallon tank. And so after 2 weeks, he was back on all fours and became an asshole. He was jumping around, trying to bite me, even though I literally take him out to go get the sun and stuff. And then he's like, "Fine, I'm okay with this, but I'm protesting and all right." And he has bit me. Now he's like right here behind my neck is his safety spot when we go out. So it's like he went from not being able to lift himself up to an asshole. Oh man, that's another thing. Aggression. When you're talking about territorial species, I learned this from the bearded dragon that I had that passed away. When I took him, because as babies, I had him and Pidge in the same tank because they were babies, and it's like, okay, so I built them a 2x4x2, their actual own each enclosure by themselves. And so I put Spike in it. And Spike was a really super good guy. And he was always annoyed at Pitch. I could tell. He was just constantly blackbearding right here. Not all blackbeard, but right here. That's how I learned how to tell that means I'm annoyed, I'm a little sickly, and or I'm upset. A little upset. And so I put him in his own enclosure, and then it became this 2 feet out of this 4 feet was off limits if you weren't feeding him. Even for me, even though he was super sweet, what happened is he took ownership. It was a positive thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
I'm territorial species. This is mine. You stay out.
Yep.
But within a month, he was back to. I accidentally knocked him off a rock, and he went from, "Oh, I'm pissed," to like in a matter of seconds, to "Fine, we're good, we're okay. I'm not mad anymore." Like it was just like that fast a change of, "Okay, it's fine, we're good," and he just eat the worm. It's fine. And that's the thing is, if you, because I've heard people say that, why is mine all of a sudden became aggressive? Because they've finally taken ownership, and that means they're going to be territorial about that space because it's theirs now to them. This is mine, and that's always a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that's something that a lot of people probably go, I don't understand. What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You did everything right. Now your goal is just to train him back down. Now these guys are all going to go back into the sand. The two females are over there, the two younger ones. Boy, they are just all right, Carrie, you're my boy. This is what I do at night. He literally just sits here. So, I mean, when we're talking about aggressive, we really need to watch the body language. We
Yes.
need to look at if they're actually challenging each other by stare downs, if they're actually, if they're, you know, food stuff, because that's what Snoot mainly gets mad about when it looks like he's about to fight, is because of food. If it's not that, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, there's reasons. Most of the time, it comes down to for aggression, food,
Mating,
mating, uh, where they're at.
territory. Yeah. Pretty much, you could probably basically cut it down to food, territory, and mating.
Hmm.
Pretty much.
Or
I
if
mean,
they're in pain.
that's yes. And that might be why the older ones want to fight, is because they are in a little bit of pain.
Yeah. If they get old and arthritic, I don't blame them.
And that's, oh, this is something that Ryan McVeigh talked about, the arthritic of older reptiles. That's why having them on tile by itself is not necessarily the best thing for long term care. This is why I suggest having multiple substrates.
Yeah.
I don't even do my lights the same way everybody else does, and I have a degree in physics. So telling me that you know more about lighting than me, you got to back off that. I don't care if you're a biologist. A physicist is what wrote the book on lighting, and Dr. Barnes used. She had to have used physics notes. Ryan McVeigh is an engineer, not a biologist. This is why he has superb lighting. This is why they do that. You
Hmm.
don't look to a biologist normally about lighting. What lighting does to the body, you might look at a biologist to answer that. So when you talk to me, remember that lighting is a physics thing. So I've never, like, when it comes to bearded dragons, I've never understood why you need it to go across. And it's no, like that's not necessary. You can, but I push mine to the back, the UV, make my bearded dragons climb to get to the actual spot to get to that UVB proper inches, like it's like 13 inches, I believe, away from their back.
Hmm.
Uh, tin T5 tin tube, and it goes down the back, not so they can actually get to the front of the enclosure and get away from it. That's what people don't understand. That's why I actually love looking at Arcadia. When Arcadia, you go through, they don't just tell you the lighting, they tell you where the shades should be.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't recognize that. And so I have a garden in the back, and I use a UVA grow light. And that grow light, they will actually bask under it and
Hmm.
not the UVB. And by separating the UVB and the grow light, even though there's an intersection point, so they will come over here, get under the basking light after they eat, move down while having to climb. So it makes them work out a little bit, and they'll actually work their way down to a colder temperature while getting their UVB. And then they will actually go under that grow light and then make their way back over to this side of the enclosure where there isn't as much UVB and stuff, where they
Yep.
can get away from it because they don't want to be under that all day. If it's appropriate, if your UVB is actually appropriate, they should not want to be under it all day long.
Hmm.
There is no reptile that I know that sits under the hot sun all day. That's a horrible mistake, and I've even heard vets make it. So it's one of those things. Anything left? Because I want people to go to their local rescue, see what they've got. They might have the most incredible animals you've ever seen. That guy at the table the other day had gotten your origami,
Hmm.
and he was just thrilled. Like I just the excitement off of that dude. Like
Yeah.
I loved it.
And to see the pictures that he sends us,
I
it's amazing.
know.
I love it when our people send us pictures, and I get text messages from people who've had our animals for years and still sending pictures. I love that.
Yeah, I do too. I have
It's
yeah.
best.
And like you said, you can call anybody that has any questions about any of this. You can contact her at Three Sisters Rescue, or you can contact me. I'll answer whatever questions I can, or I'll at least be able to guide you to somebody that should be able to.
Yeah, and if you have questions about making enclosures and stuff like that, reach out.
Oh God,
I mean,
yeah.
we will be happy to help educate you on enclosures, on what your animals need. And if we don't know, we will ask someone and get you the right information. Because
So
we are not just here to take your animals, we are also here to educate you.
so one of these guys made a poo poo.
Hey, that happens.
It does, and that's good. So that's why I have wet wipes.
You know, my son, the youngest, is 24, and I still get wet wipes, and people are always asking me how old my baby is.
I'm amazed nobody asks me. But my deal is that I'm diabetic, and I usually have oh God, what are those bidet kits on my toilets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a bidet kit in this place. I accidentally almost flooded this place trying to put
Oh,
one on, so I use wet wipes instead to help out because diabetes is not fun.
no, it's not. I ended up getting diabetes earlier this year, and it went from just normal, regular life to being extremely diabetic in less than a month. Ended up in the hospital for weeks on end. Yeah, it was a fun time.
Oh God, my father has it. I've got it. My brother's got it. He doesn't really deal with it properly. Uh, Anything my father has, I have. So we have fatty liver disease.
Oh,
So my grandfather was diagnosed with an ulcer, and that's why we wound up in Missouri because he was actually a vice president of an airport in California. And so it's like, how the hell did we wind up in Joplin area from from California, from San Diego area? It's like, how the hell did you find McDonald County? And
yeah,
yeah, it's like there's people in Missouri who don't know where McDonald County is. It's like, and so it's always been a question, but actually he had fatty liver disease because my dad, they misdiagnosed him with an ulcer. No, he had fatty liver disease, so there was buildup in his gallbladder, and he had gallstones. And so my brother also ended up with gallstones and had to be rushed to the hospital. It's one of those things. So I have some Savannah monitor babies. So it's like, you know what? I don't overfeed my Savannahs. I probably underfeed them. They are healthier than when I got them. The one with the bad arm, Love, will actually outrun Hate to get a worm. They're healthy,
good.
but yet they're not overweight. They are growing slower than they probably should, but that's a good thing because I don't overfeed them.
Yeah, too many people overfeed savannas.
And I damn well don't feed them rats or anything fattening. I have feeder guppies that I will actually pour in their enclosure in the morning, go to work, and watch them on the cam. And Hate will go to town on those. Oh, he just loves feeder guppies splashing around.
Yeah,
He just loves it, and that's healthy for him.
yeah,
They haven't gotten around to eating the snails that I have, and I have enough of those that I don't have to worry about it. And that's the only reason why I got the Savannahs because it's like I have enough food. Like it would almost be a crime not to take in these two Savannahs that were not the best of health when I had all this excess food right now that they could eat.
hmm,
And I'm not just going to be able to do anything with it. So it's like it would just be a waste. So it's like, all right. And then actually, Keely and Ian were the two that actually convinced me in the long run to get them. And it's like, are you going to be, are they, basically, if those two Savannahs went to somebody else, are they going to wind up in your rescue?
Mm-hmm.
And if they're better off with me and not winding up in their rescue, and then he gave me such a great deal. And then I've met the guy several times before, and we become friends. And he even came and hung out with me and Bill Stewart when we were hanging out at the U.S. Ark auction. But he
Good.
knew Bill Stewart before, for me. He knew other people that knew Bill and stuff. So it's a small world.
It really is. And the reptile community is even smaller.
Yeah, and I think we need to change that. And I think if we can get more people to recognize that they could do their own experiment, that they can actually have an impact on the society right
Mm-hmm.
away. And that's what we're doing here. That's one of those things we're showing people how to do it properly, and that they could actually change the world because they might find something by doing an experiment safely that
Yeah,
doesn't hurt the animals that nobody else thought to do, and it changes our whole way of looking at them.
exactly.
And because we don't know, it's like the there was a young man who wanted to talk about snakes with me, and he was at the NRBC uh, last year around this time here in St. Louis, and I was just like, "Yeah, dude." No, no, no. It was the April one. It was the April in RBC, and I'm like, dude, I would love to have you on the podcast just to talk. You should come on and tell me about the nonverbals of your snakes because I don't have snakes, and so I'm like, I would love to learn that. So to everybody that's out there, I think this is a pretty good place to end it. But you need to support your local rescue. US Ark and stuff are great to support, but yet we're not supporting our conservation and our rescues.
Mm.
Just go and look to adopt animals from them. Talk to them. Make sure people are knowing that they exist.
Yeah.
Instead of, if you're not a breeder, instead of suggesting that necessarily that somebody go automatically to a breeder, like the other day I suggested somebody go like, well, we're thinking about getting a gecko or a bearded dragon or something. I'm like, automatically go talk to Three Sisters Rescue. Go talk to them. And it's like, oh, I never even thought about that. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll get that rescue. Yeah, yeah. It's like, you're damn right. And that's where we need to be. Because there are too many animals that are needing help, and there's not enough knowledge in the hobby for people to help. And so if we can get more knowledge out there, then we can cut down the amount that go to rescues, and then we can actually increase the amount that are coming out of rescues, taking relief off of rescues. That should be a top goal of anybody. Period.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna appreciate you for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I figured this wouldn't be as good, but I was really hoping it would.
It's okay.
But it's something. Yeah. And who knows where this will go in the future? Like, try to do a better version of this when I get to a different place. That would be lovely.
We're always happy to help. You know that.
And I really appreciate it, and I want to make sure that people know that I am 100% behind you guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You have a good night.
You do the same.
Thanks.
Bye.